Okay, it's now 5:06 in the morning. I started 2 minutes ago talking with a cold mic. So now we have a hot mic. Yeah, this is my second Corona Diary entry. Um, I was hoping to do these once a week, kind of a week in review, and now I'm getting to these like maybe twice a month if I'm lucky. I mean, what, this is August now. Kids start school today. I've been in school finishing my master's, and so I'm, up to my eyeballs. So there's my online school, their online school. Um, there's this jewelry business thing that I'm trying to do, right? And then there's some contract work that I'm going to pick up, right? Because got to pay the bills. Um, Life is short, and I'm cramming a heck of a lot all into a very short amount of time. But when haven't I, right? Um, I'll sleep when I'm dead, right? Um, Speaking of, some of the things that have happened last month were pretty sobering, pretty eye opening. I had a good friend pass away from COVID, from coronavirus. And so he was a really fun person. I got to know him through work, so there wasn't a lot of personal uh, time that got spent, but he was one of those people that we always told funny stories, and the picture of I have of him in my mind is him laughing to the point of tears, right? Because of jokes and stories we were telling. I mean, he was just a good human, and he loved his wife. He loved his pug puppies, and he was prior Air Force, and he was a brilliant, prolific writer. I mean, he did everybody's homework, right? He was a very smart businessman, and I'm gonna miss him. I'm gonna miss that joyful, cheerful person that he was. And when the joy in you recognizes the joy in somebody else, that's a gift, right? And you got to acknowledge it. So, Wayne, this one's for you. I'm going to miss you, buddy. That said, coronavirus is a real thing. I'm never meant to be flippant about it or be, um, you know, so nonchalant, right? Like it's legit. And I think that it's another one of those reasons that I decided to, um, pull the kids out of physical, brick and mortar school and have them do the online. We're going to do it this semester. And then if they do well, meaning they don't fall behind, we'll go ahead and do it for the full um, academic year. And, I told my 12-year-old, I said, look, I said, my bachelor's degree, I said, my master's degree, it's all online school, right? So you might as well figure it out now, right? And so she's very smart. I didn't have any issues, like I said, with her. I think it's just motivation. The younger one, she's finally getting old enough to kind of track all the way along about concepts and what they're trying to teach her. So it's just going to be, again, not just motivation, but also kind of helping her stay focused, help her, kind of stay grounded, glue the butt to the seat, and then follow through. It's all about follow through in life, in everything, right? So for me, again, I'm very kind of reflective and this time about where I'm going to go, what I'm going to do. One of the things that's kind of a recurring theme for me recently is what's holding me back, right? If for anybody that knows me, I've kind of had enough tragedy in my life for 2 lifetimes. And yet at the same time, I'm still here, right? Everybody that knows me knows that I don't do what I don't want to do. And so I've had, you know, to really fight and claw my way to maintain traction, right? Because it's very easy to get discouraged in life, and when you have such monumental big events happening, like I can't make some of this stuff up, right? Like that's the thing, right? Like I think my point of doing these Corona Diary updates and doing the memoirs really about telling the secret to my sanity, the secret to my perseverance, right? And trying to do it in a way that is positive and uplifting for the people that are freshly hearing it, but also the people that have known me, right? Because everybody gets a little bit of snippets of your life, right? They all only see a certain picture for the duration that they know you, right? And so if they love you, right, there's more grace to forgive and grace to understand and to get through. And then, if they're, don't know you very well, or they're, slightly jealous, or whatever it is, right? They're going to be less inclined to have a positive review of what their opinion is about you, right? And so that's the other thing I'm coming to grips with is judgment, really. Like when you put yourself out there on social media, when you put yourself out there really in relationships with people, you're risking judgment, right? Because everybody has an opinion about everything, right? And sometimes those opinions don't jive with the way you see things or the way you want to, operate or continue or move on in life. And so a lot of limiting factors come into play when you give your power over to other people and play into their judgments of you, right? And so I think that even the strongest people, those people with some of the strongest self-images, and even high opinions of themselves, are still susceptible to that critical judgment of their peers and people they don't even know or barely know, acquaintances, right? That's why we all try to put on a nice face and try to, those first impressions you can never get back, right? So it's interesting to me as I'm moving through life, moving through things, I have always made decisions based on my, moral compass and my values, right? Kind of like not even caring what other people think, because at some point I recognize that they don't always understand, or they're not in my, they don't, they're not walking the mile in my moccasins, right? They're not walking in my shoes. So I think I've always known that from a young age, like a teenager, right? Because even when, my dad would try to, wag a finger at me, right? Like at the end of the day, I had to realize that, as an adult, he wasn't going to live with my consequences, with my decisions, right? I was. And so, and he was only relaying his, we'll say concern, based on his experiences and what his paradigm of ideal life was, right? And so I think another thing too is that you're never going to be perfect, right? Everybody's in transition and everybody's evolving. Some people are evolving and some people aren't, right? Clearly some people are stuck. But the point is that you cannot be petrified to move forward because you're afraid of what the person next to you is going to say or think, right? And so as long as you can remain positive and give them grace, for where they're coming from, right? You can still have a good rapport, we'll say. I wouldn't say relationship. Relationship's a little too strong. But at the end of the day, it's about salvaging as many of those into relationship as you can, right? Again, and just, asking yourself the question, what would love do, right? If I'm truly walking in love, if I'm truly being graceful to my neighbor, right, then I'm not going to harbor grudges or harbor internal resentment, even though I know that they're, judging me, right? And so a lot of the superficial pieces, right, have stopped me from going live with this jewelry thing. Um, from a logistics standpoint, the events of 2017 were um, traumatizing and were very, very bad. If you want to know more, you're going to have to buy the book. But, that was a chapter that was a legitimate problem because people are watching you and you don't think they're always watching you, right? You're not, you go about your life kind of wanting to just, be happy and innocent and naive and just keep, take things at face value. And you can't, because there's somebody out there, whether it's been close to you in the past or not, that is simmering with some kind of weird, jealousy or resentment. And you're all of a sudden in a competition you didn't even know you were in, right? And so I've been the target of those things, and I'm not looking forward to having to fend off, additional comments and just, negative uh, energy being thrown at you, right? By somebody giving you the stink eye, because they've got their own issues, right? Like, the truth and vindication is one thing, but people will always have opinions about you, and you can't control those opinions, right? And that's kind of the frustrating thing and the scary thing. But then what are you wasting your energy on? What are you doing battle with, right? Accept yourself, move on with yourself. And so, look, as far as we're, moving forward into those internal things like that I can control that are from me, like I've been skinny, I've been thick, I've been fat, I've been pregnant, I've been everything in between, right? I've been everything from a size 4 to a size 14, like, right? And I think I'm probably 12, 14 right now. But you have to be able to accept yourself either way. And if anybody else at the time, isn't your fan, let it go. You know what I'm saying? You're in a state of evolving. You're in a state of passing through. It's transition, right? Transformation is a beautiful, scary thing, right? But when it's done, it's done. And so for me, I have done some pretty remarkable things. I'm pretty proud of myself for what I've held on and white knuckled through, things that I've accomplished, right? But I always want to push myself and go higher, and I can't allow any more hesitation or excuses because I'm afraid of getting judged. And I think that's what this is about, is right now in all of my ramblings, that life is too short. The truth will come out, so don't burn any extra energy trying to change minds and change hearts. It's not my job, right? Those that want to love me and accept me will. And I promise to love and accept people that I come into contact with in return, or even not in return, before they've done anything for me, right? Because that's the rule that I want in my life, right? Is the rule of love, not the rule of law or the rule of cynicism or the rule of, judgment, right? Like, there'll be enough of that on the other side. So, and right now, actually, the sun is coming up. It's 5:20. I've got a long list of stuff. I just want to say thank you to everybody that's been kind and that's been supportive of me. Thank you for having patience. Thank you for being there as I'm becoming. And I just want to say I recognize the becoming in you. And if I can at all ever give back and reciprocate that for you, please reach out, because I'm here. Cool? Cheers.